Welcome back to Brashonomics. We're lucky enough to have Jared Fraser here, who has over a decade of experience in the real estate and property management industry. Jared, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Spring is around the corner. Spring training.
I know.
I'm getting excited. We got some baseball coming out.
That's right. Right. Well, timing of baseball is exciting to you, right? And we were just talking about a minute ago, just the timing that goes through when you're buying a property and all the different aspects of that. A lot of timing also has to do with, or I guess an important aspect of timing is really making a competitive offer and mitigating kind of the risk and the timing associated with that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, we're starting to see that right now a lot more with a lot more buyers, a lot of competitive offers out there. And I've run across some buyers that are being told to not use the contingencies that are available to them, like inspection and financing, to make a competitive offer. And that's not necessarily true. You can be a very competitive offer and still have time to get the inspection done. Maybe not give yourself 5 days or a week to get the inspection done. Give yourself 1 or 2 days, but these contingencies are very vital for you to have a successful purchase. A lot of people are overlooking these contingencies. The buyers might not be fully aware, so I always urge every buyer to ask what their contingency options are before making an offer and let them decide. Go back and forth with your realtor. Don't let them force you into something that they think is more of a competitive offer, because that could just set you up to fail.
A lot of the discussions we've had on our show have been about these competitive offers, though. I mean, because people want the house, so they need to be competitive. There's a lot of risk, it sounds like, that you're talking about when you just are focused on the competitiveness of it rather than the safety.
Yeah, well, if you're using a bank to help finance the property, you need to have that financing contingency in there. And when you start picking apart these contingencies and taking them out, it doesn't necessarily mean your offer is more competitive. It doesn't mean, as on the seller side, when they receive these offers, it doesn't make it more likely that property is going to close. There's no increase in the chance of that property going to closing and selling on time if there's less contingencies in that offer. The numbers actually it goes down, because as the buyers put in a riskier offer and then they have this time to wait, they're sitting around waiting for things to happen. And they start getting cold feet. They start talking to their friends, going, "You didn't get an inspection done. You didn't. What if the financing isn't going to be there?" And they actually back out. They might forfeit their earnest money, but it doesn't actually increase the odds of the property closing when you start sacrificing all your contingencies.
As a baseball fan, it sounds to me a little bit like most people might think you rear back and throw a fastball, the most aggressive pitch you can, and that's got the best chance of striking somebody out. But sometimes you have to have a little bit more finesse and maybe go with, say, a curveball or a different type of pitch for the safety of not just being as aggressive as possible, but also being safe and smart about your offer.
Yeah, and using an agent that can explain your offer to the sellers to stress the highlights of your offer, that this is a lot, good money down payment. They're ready to close in a fast time. They don't have to sell another property in order to buy your property. All those things can be explained to the seller to help your offer along. Sometimes people say that an all-cash offer is necessarily always better, but that's not always true. People usually with a lot of money might walk away from a property when something else better comes along, because all they're walking away from is their earnest money. So there's more to just the number on the paper and to get a strong competitive offer. And it's just very important that you go back and forth with your realtor to understand what these contingencies are. And so often we're seeing buyers are out there, they're looking, and they just started looking, and the house is there, and everything's moving really quickly. So it's very easy to get kind of sucked into putting in an offer that's a higher risk, losing your earnest money, and less likely to close.
Jared, have you had a lot of conversations with people about this?
I have, yeah. These are things that people have come to me and asked in retrospect, that they got an offer on the table, but they didn't get the inspection done, or they didn't do a financing contingency, and they were told that they could, we'll just get financing somewhere else. Well, that's true, but if you don't have that language in the contract, you don't have any more time to get financing somewhere else. You have to buy that property in the set date that you agreed to in the beginning.
Which going and getting financing is not exactly the fast process that it used to be, where you switch the day before and all of a sudden everything's honky-dory and rock and roll. Here we go. Here's our pre-approval or our approval.
And the people can be pretty confident they are going to get financing, and that's probably true that they would get financing. But what if the property doesn't appraise at the price that's one of the most important language in that contract, is that the appraisal value matches your offer. And if it doesn't, And if you don't have that language in your contract, you need to buy that house at the high price, and you need to figure out how to pay that extra price, or you walk away from your earnest money.
Yeah. Is that something that a lot of people understand when they start thinking about getting competitive, is what the risk factors are? Or do people get the I want this house mentality so they go full board in?
I see both. I have the very, very too cautious offer, asking for too much time to satisfy their contingencies, asking for a week to get an inspection done because they want their dad to fly in from across the state, and then also get an inspector and another friend to look at the property. So that's way too cautious. That's too much time. But then you also get the people that just blow through everything and just want to make a full offer with no contingencies, and they don't really think things through, that there are obligations you have to fulfill. And yeah, I usually don't get that middle ground. I usually have to talk people down or talk people up to bring them to a safe middle.
Personality traits, right? No, we need to get this done right now.
Yep.
Versus, okay, hold on, let's methodically go through the process.
And they all get those from their friends and family who've bought, who had regrets from not making an aggressive offer or made a too aggressive offer, and they all have their experiences that change their traits.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is the most aggressive offer that you could present? I mean, how aggressive can people get?
To be aggressive and high risk would be basically just offering all cash or just a full price offer or over full price with zero contingencies. You're not asking to get an inspection done. You're not asking about financing, title, insurance, any of those contingencies that are available to you to make sure you're buying a good property. They're just putting a number on the paper and throwing it at the seller.
Mm-hmm. And then is that risky for? You said that was even risky for the seller too, because it could be
too good to be true. And we see this in the investment side a lot, where investors would likely walk a little quicker from a property than a owner occupied, because they're looking for good deals. So if they're putting out a cash offer, they're probably doing that to 5 or 6 properties, not just the one that you're trying to sell. So if they have no contingencies or they have a low earnest money, they'll walk away from $5,000-$10,000 easy if they find a better deal. So it doesn't necessarily seem that it could be too good to be true. It's just that you have to go through everything on that contract of what the buyer's asking for, and really that's how you can really look and see if you have a strong buyer who was committed to buying that house.
It's funny that it's interesting, I guess, that you have this difference between being competitive and then being kind of smart about it, and then how a seller is going to receive that, because as we talked about, a lot of people do want to be competitive because they want the house, but I've never heard from the seller's perspective, wait, this could be a too good to be true offer.
Yeah, it is. If it just doesn't seem.
So I mean, the best offer may not even be what
appears to be the best offer might not be the best offer. I mean, I've seen cash offers looking to close in 10 days. I don't know if we're going to be able to get this done, even with no financing. If we're going to be able to get this done in 10 days, that's still tough. So it seems too good to be true. We need to that'd be a conversation I'd be having with their real estate agent and talking to them about the actual details, trying to get more information. But you can do that all you want. It's what's in the contract is what's gonna stick.
What is some of the information you would try to get on a too good to be true offer, or something that appears to be too good to be true?
As much information about the buyer as I can, just their story. Have they been looking for a whole bunch? Is this their first time buying?
Did they win the lottery?
Did they win the lottery? We're going to need proof of funds, obviously, would be something where we'd want to see that they actually have the money that they're claiming to have. And just all those little conversation details go into just getting a good gut instinct about their buyer. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we're doing this now with the buyers will put an offer in and they'll include a letter about your home. But we really like your home. Our family loves it. We can see, raising our kids here. Mm-hmm. And that can work. That, people feel confident. A seller, a family that's selling can see another family moving in, and they kind of like that. And this family looks committed to buying this home, and that stuff can win out over numbers, over price, over somebody paying a little bit more money for it.
Is there one specific thing that would make an offer too good to be true that would be a big red flag for you?
I'm always wary about the inspections. Just if they haven't done an inspection, they're waiving an inspection. That's always a red flag, because once that offer is accepted and we're waiting to close, they have a lot of time they can go back and look at that property. If they find something that they don't like, they might walk away. And I'd rather them walk away within that first few days of accepting an offer within financing or inspection contingency, rather than getting to a couple days before closing and then walking away. So when it looks like they just put an offer in and aren't even looking at the property that they even put an offer in, that makes me nervous.
So really, there's some elements of to make it less risky for a seller if some of these offers come through that are overly competitive, too aggressive, would be to shorten some of the timelines on their contingency in order to mitigate maybe what would be a very risky play by a buyer.
Yes, yeah. Shortening the time frames is a great way to increase the likelihood of closing. So you still have those chances, that you still have the offer, the ability to get those inspections and contingencies fulfilled, but you're not giving them a month to do it. You're giving them a couple days to find out the info on the property. And if they can't get an inspection done in a competitive market within 2 days, then that's where I'd get a little nervous.
They need Jim over
there. They need Jim over there. He can whip out an inspection really fast. And and people are doing inspections before they're even putting offers in on these properties. And I usually don't like that strategy, because I haven't seen it successfully close properties at a higher rate in anyway, because usually the buyers are buying inspections on 3 or 4 properties before they found the property they really wanted. They're getting these properties inspected, which is a cost of doing business when you're looking at buying a home, but they're doing these inspections before they even have an offer accepted by the seller. So you're spending a lot of money. So it is an option to do that, but it's just something where you're probably going to spend. You're going to buy 3 or 4 or 5 inspections, which I'm sure Jim would appreciate. And
Jim's like cha-ching over there.
And but ahead of time, when it could be unnecessary. You don't even know if you're going to be able to get this property for the price you want to pay, and you're spending your money on inspections when it might not even be worth it.
Yeah, well, Jared, thanks so much for joining us. I mean, it really is interesting, because we talk about how competitive you have to be to get a house in this market, and then how easy it is to maybe go overboard and eliminate some of those safety nets. Thanks for joining us. If you're wondering who Jim is, he's coming up next. He's the owner and lead inspector of Property Inspector LLC, and we will discuss some skills you'll need not only to buy the house, but also to survive home ownership. We'll be right back.